Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Shayla. I'm actually standing outside of my craft space. I know this has been a video I've been talking about for a while, and I am finally doing it. My craft space isn't perfect, it's always ever changing. And I do want to say, prior to getting into showing off my craft space, I am very fortunate to be able to have a space to do my crafting. I know that's not the case for everybody. I definitely have came a long way. I used to just have a desk in my living room and that was my craft space. So we've kind of upgraded here. Again, I'm also just very grateful to have this space, but I wanted to show you guys and maybe you'll get some great ideas for transforming your craft space as well. So let's get into it. Okay, drum roll. So I'm just gonna open the door and then you guys will be able to see my whole craft space. This is it. I'll kind of show you the different areas here, but just doing a little once over. This is my craft space. I definitely have collected craft supplies for probably about like 12 years now. So this all just didn't happen overnight, but let me kind of show you some of the fun little spaces and things that make this craft room my favorite place to retreat to, and we'll go from there. Also, there's my cat. Okay, so we're on the other side of the door here that I just went through. My dog can't make a decision if he wants to come in or stay out there, so we're just gonna shut it. This is kind of my view. I sit, sorry if I'm going a little fast. I'm trying to not make it super terrible. But this is where I sit. This is my main craft chair. I do also have my sewing craft chair. However, that's usually just my cat's sleep chair. She has been liking this blanket. Try and go slowly here. That I have put on the floor for her. There she is. She's a little camera shy. But so I don't really sit in this one unless I'm sewing something, because the sewing foot is obviously at the bottom there. Usually this is just my main chair over here. So getting into it, I have tried to put things in like categories together. I'll say this dream catcher right here, my grandmother actually made. She makes beautiful dream catchers. This is just a thrifted piece, and I'll try and point out some things. Here you can see me, hi. Is a new addition is the TV. I actually used to not have a TV in here, but I actually have really been enjoying it for like YouTube videos and stuff, or I'll put on like a music playlist while I'm crafting. So this has actually been a nice little addition. I got this fabulous little cookie jar. It's a Frankenstein, a handsome Frankenstein, if you will. Doesn't hold anything, but I really like it. You'll notice there is a little bit of spooky in my craft room because I love Halloween. It is, by far, I feel like the most creative holiday, and it's just fun. It's a fun holiday. So I do have a little bit of spooky as well. So this area right here is kind of like my, I guess, like textile type area. This is stuff that I use or would like to use for like altering clothes or making clothes. I'm slowly getting into hand stitching, which is super fun. I actually find it very meditative, so I have this little space dedicated to that. Then over here, so I have right up at the top there, that is my stuff that I use for dyeing paper. So like if you're doing lace dyeing or something like that, that's what I use that for. And then I have this shelf. This is like an IKEA shelf, just full of fabric and sewing stuff. This is stuff that I use more for journals and journaling. So this is like slightly different from the ones on the bottom here. I do need to reorganize this though, but it's always a work in progress, as you know. Okay, so we're at the chair. This is, like I said, my little sewing chair. I have this cute little brother. It's not super fancy. It does some different stitches though. I actually got this secondhand online at Goodwill. Goodwill does have an online store, and so that's what I got that. It was actually really cheap, and it was like new in the box too. I just had to pay a little for shipping, but that was fine. And then right here I don't have a picture in there yet, don't judge me. But right here I have just like different little sewing notions, like sewing scissors and pins and needles, that kind of thing. My cat does like to get up here, so I try and keep anything that's like sharp away from her. You know, I have some thread. Like I said, I've been doing some hand stitching, so I pulled out some thread for that. And then I have a gallery wall, as you can see. Try and be a little slow with turning there. A lot of these I have thrifted. The dream catchers, any dream catcher you see on my wall, my grandma has made. So thank you, Grandma, for all of my dream catchers. I do also have some pictures of my family here and me when I was little. My family, you know, I am very thankful to have a family that is creative, and they are a huge inspiration to me. And, you know, it's nice to have things up to help you remember where you came from. So I have those up there. This little area, this thing is just like kind of a catch-all. It just has some papery, small papery things. I do have, you know, I think there are some, yeah, like see, these are all like these little mini folders. So there's like some organization here to that. I have this is my professional microphone for when I'm sitting at my chair recording videos for you guys. And this is where I put my phone. I usually have a mat on my desk, but I have it put away for now. And I'll actually show you. So this right here just has like some little extra things. This is made out of paper, so I had to put things in here that were kind of light, so that way it wouldn't, you know, droop. But that's that. And then I have up here, and I'm sorry if I'm like going fast or something like that. I'm just trying to show y'all everything as much as I can anyways, in a video. So this is like, I just have, again, some random stuff. I have a lot of Tim Holtz in here. These are the Tim Holtz paper dolls. I guess this is like kind of the Tim Holtz corner, if you will. I have like some of the Tim Holtz collage paper. But I also have these. So this is how I store my ink daubers. That's what it looks like. So that way I don't have to have a bunch of these laying around. Because you can just take them off. Oh, I might have dropped something. And then I just have them labeled by the color. So that's kind of how I do that. It saves a little bit of space. I'm always looking for space in my craft area. I have like sticky notes down there. I have some like cutesy things. My mom actually made me that. It's a pin cushion, but it's just super cute. So I kind of just keep it on display. And then this right here is actually I want to say it's Turkish. I could be wrong. But my husband got this for me for Christmas. It's like a really nice ceramic bowl. It has like the evil eyes all over it. And I keep my embellishments in here that are not flat. So like, see, that's like wood. We have there's all sorts of interesting little things in here. We have like these little butterflies. So this is just something I can kind of grab from as I need like a fun little 3D embellishment. Okay, so this over here is gonna be like my random little doodads. This reminds me of like I Spy, if you've ever seen the I Spy books. So I kind of love this area, and I got this guy. It's like a 3D planter. Let's see if you can see it though. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And then this one kind of has the same kind of stuff in it. These are my little to-do lists. And then here is like where I mainly sit. So, you know, you might be used to this view. but this is where I sit. I do have, you know, my art up here. I have lots of cat things. I love cat pictures. There's me. Whoa. Sorry, I'm trying to hold it. There's me and my husband when we went to California. It's definitely been, I think, 2019, so it's been a while for that one. This one's super cute. That's my husband's favorite because he thinks it looks like our cat, which I kind of agree. I love like fun little ceramic pieces. As you can tell, this is ceramic, little lizard, but he holds like my favorite ink pads in here, or like the ones I use a lot. This one's ceramic and it looks like a splash of, I don't know, something. And then this little guy, I don't know if you can see him. Let me zoom in here. But he's so cute. He's like, you know, a little piece of Halloween, as I said. You kind of find that throughout. Same with this one here. And then I have a lot of like my word stickers and stuff like that. This is ceramic, and it holds buttons. So I have like buttons at the ready. And then I love, okay, spending some time on this, but that's okay. I love little animals that have boots. This one doesn't have anything in it right now. It's just super cute. He's more for decoration. And then up there, those were a set. They both have boots on, in case you didn't see that. But those hold my two glues that I literally swear by. I use them so much. And then right up there, that is actually a puppet, which is really cool because it was designed by one of the same, I guess, like designers that had made puppets for The Labyrinth, the movie. If you are not familiar with The Labyrinth, it is an older movie, but it is my favorite movie, and I highly recommend it. It's a little kooky, but it's really good. And then these little trinkets, my aunt got me that one, and then I just thrifted that one, but they sit on top of my sticker books. And then I have this little thing that was originally a jewelry holder, and I put little labels. So these are just some things that I can grab, you know, at the ready. So that's what those are. And yes, this is my desk area. So kind of fun, kind of whimsical. I also have the rest of my ink pads, excuse that light, right here. I don't know if this is an ink pad holder originally, but that's what I turned it into. So there you go. And let's move on to the next part. Okay, so moving on here, we're scooting over to this side now. I forgot to mention these drawers. So this whole thing was IKEA. These drawers just have things that I use every day. I won't go into like all the drawers. This is actually my scrap drawer. But those are just things I use on the daily. And then at the bottom here, I have all of my like paper trimmers because they're kind of big and bulky. And I also have my scoring board. So that's where I keep those, right under my desk at my feet. And I have a trash can. Okay, so this side here is kind of like, you know, there's the wall. So this is mostly just like to grab things off of. I kind of custom built this, if you will. These are like the Sterilite drawers. They come in sets of 3, and I obviously stacked those to make 2 sets of 10. And each one has little labels on them that I put. And it's like for different die cuts and things, like quotes and words. Pull that out. You'll find some sort of cute little word in case that's what you need. They're getting a little full though, I will say. There's miscellaneous imagery, so anything that doesn't really fit in any of these other categories, but you know, I find that should go in a drawer, goes there. Bling, like pearls and jewels. We have, just showing some examples here, living creatures. So this is going to be like insects and butterflies and birds and animals. Really anything that's like a living creature. Because it's not just limited to animals, you know, there's insects and things. I have like blank labels bin. So these are like the ones I have. Quotes and words, in case you're interested in doing this yourself. Miscellaneous imagery. We have interesting small ephemera. So this is like vintage things that are kind of small that you can use to embellish. Like this is an old milk tab. These are like cigarette or tea cards, not sure which one, just stuff like that. So small ephemera. We have bling, obviously, and blank labels and frames. I just showed you that. This one's more of a blank labels. I do have a separate one that's frames, so I should probably change that. We also have the living creatures, flora and fauna. That's just your flowers and different leaves and things. Labels, that's different than blank labels. So these are labels that already have they're already written on. So you don't need to do anything. They're just complete. So that's that one. We also have stamps and then punched images. So pretty self-explanatory there. And then on this side, I have pretty ladies and people. So, you know, there's like just different pictures of different people in here. Tags, large imagery. So these are like really large, like die cut type images. Also have tickets. Transparent is like anything that's like clear or see-through. So there's these little like jar things. We have, this is modern die cut. So these are things that look more like scrapbooky, not so much junk journal-y, but I still like to keep those. You never know when you're going to use them. Frames, there's the frames one. And this is coin sleeves and envelopes. And then there's slides too, because I feel like those kind of go together. And then, come on, work with me. Okay. This is altered paper clips that have already been made. And then this is like just a bin of like mixed metal type things. So we have that side. These are things I tend to gravitate towards less, which is why they're farther away from where I sit. It's kind of intentional that way. Okay. Up here is, I just put this on top of there just to make more room. And when in doubt, if your craft space is small, go up. That is something I've learned and utilized. But this just kind of holds random little bits of paper. We have like index cards. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff. Those are old recipes. There's like bingo cards, just a lot of stuff. And then I do have a few little decorations here. I have some little cork figurines from a seller on Whatnot. I love Mary Englebright, so there's a little bit of Mary Englebright kind of throughout my room. This one I got on Whatnot. Someone made this, which I thought was really cool. And that's a picture of me and my mom when I was little. My grandmother got me that from a market. It's just like a framed piece of jewelry. It's actually really cute. Let me see if I can zoom in. There's a cat. It's a cat. And then I have my junk jar lamp, which is arguably my favorite lamp. I actually have a lot of lamps that I like, so. So there's that. And then right here, I just keep more little papery type bits. There's a lot of like Tim Holtz type things in here. Random little papers, and same on this side. I do also have a few poetry books. I actually like taking these and finding, you know, like cool words or quotes. And I'll use those in my junk journals. So if you're ever at a thrift store and you see some really cool poetry books that you like, pick those up. Cheesecloth, really great. It's just very versatile. And then down here is I'm still figuring it out. So I do like vintage ashtrays. I collect them. So this is one of them. And I use this kind of like for projects I want to work on. So I got this stuff recently that I want to play with. So I have it right here. This is a mini scraps bin that I can just grab from. I don't know if this will stay or not, but it's here for now. And then this is my tools. So I just have a bunch of tools that I use often in this one. This right here is obviously like distress crowns. We have watercolor type brushes for mixed media. And then this is my scrap cloth ribbon trim bin. So little bits of trim that don't quite make it into the actual trim bins, which I'll show you. This is stuff I can just grab from. And then this does have a few little doodads on it. So we have, it says on here, one of my favorite tins, Tim Holtz ephemera. So that's what that has in it. Oh. And then this one is a fairly new tin, but I really like it. Oh, I have to pull this one out first. This might not stay how it is. So more punched images. These are more like storybook type. And then this is Seven Gypsies ephemera. Such a cool tin. All my tins I thrift, by the way. So I find these just out thrifting. I found... Okay, I lost you there. That was bound to happen. But all my tins I do find thrifting. This one I found at the Goodwill bins. This one I found at a thrift store. So just keep your eye out in the storage section. You never know when you might find a cool tin. And then over here I have my rosettes, which I really like to use for decorating. Some punched flowers, and then these are just some extra like guest checks, which are really fun to alter. And I have some old like Scantrons, so stuff like that. Okay, moving on to this corner right here. So this is another little bookshelf. I think I thrifted this one. And obviously it holds most of my animal collection, my stuffed animal collection. I'm always trying to find more room for more though. It's something, I just see them and their eyes just look at me and I feel like, you know, they're asking me to take them home, which is probably a problem. I don't need any more, but I just feel like I'm rescuing them. I'm not sure. So yes, I have a little collection of animals. This is one of my favorite tins. This is a small die cuts tin. So I have a lot of like different little die cuts and things that I can just grab this tin off the shelf and then use that, you know, when I'm crafting. This is like paint chip samples. I have so many of those and like the paint sample booklets. So I put those in there. And then down here, I have, this is just like random die cuts. I'm kind of just overflowing, I guess, with like die cut type things. So I have those. These are die cuts that haven't even been opened yet. I know. And then this is actually vintage cards. So like vintage greeting cards, which I do like to use in my journaling. Okay, moving on. I have this tiny little thing that I built because I'm utilizing my space. This is a set of 2 that I stacked on top of each other. And on top, I have like my painting stuff. And then I have laminating sheets for my laminator, which is right here. This is dry erase, so that I'll have to redo that. This is my scraps that are strips. It just fits well in there. I have some fun little altered tassels and stuff like that for journals. This is my distress sprays. All of my sprays are in there. We have my stickles, which is like, you know, glitter glue, all sorts of different kinds. Looks like that. If you've ever seen those, that's what I'm talking about. And then I have this foil machine. I have not tried it out yet, but I will at some point. I have washi tape, and then I have flashcards. These are like vintage flashcards. And then at the very bottom, I have art markers. And then let me show you this. Okay, so I had to sit on the floor for this one, but that's okay. So this back here, I don't really use that much. This is like one of those things is like holiday stuff that I've made. That obviously it's not the holidays, so it doesn't really matter right now. This this green little box here actually has a lot of random craft supplies that I don't use too often. They were for like one-off projects, but I can't seem to get rid of. This is paper right here. And then I have just like some miscellaneous stuff. There's my button maker as well. But this is what I wanted to show you. So I have this little thing from IKEA. And it's actually labeled. So I have my distress inks and re-inkers up here. I have my extra ink pads and like the little ink dauber type things in here. This is going to be paints. So this is paint pens and watercolors. I have my paints actually separated by color. So this is warm colors. So like yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, that kind of thing. And then this is cool colors. So I have purples, greens, blues. Yeah. And then I have neutral colors and metallics. So there's some metallics in here as well. But that's my neutrals. This is a cat toy. And then I have just a few little like tray type things, which sometimes I need if I am starting a project, you know, and I need to just like kind of put it away or put it on something and move it out of the way. Sometimes I will use those trays in there for that. All right. Sorry if this video is chaotic. I'm not used to filming like this. So hopefully you're still there. But so this is my giant IKEA cube shelf. I had bought at my last apartment and moved it over here. I have to say this is probably one of my favorite pieces I have bought just because it holds so much. But it was definitely not cheap. So it was an investment. But at the top here, I have kind of my bigger machines. So I have my die cutting machine and the die cuts. This is like a coil binding machine and the coil binder stuff. I have my glue book stuff. This is like labels, like printer labels and specialty printer paper. I have planner stickers and planner accessories. I have bags to turn into journals. And then this one right here is stuff I collect for different types of journals for people. So stuff I don't gravitate towards as much or as often. That's why it's on the top shelf, or it's just really heavy. So, okay, left to right. So we have, this is going to be like mixed media type stuff. We have like alcohol inks over here, pastes, gelatos, that kind of thing. And those are more paint brushes. That's just a fun little random bin of Lisa Frank stuff. I had to keep it. Then here we have, this is actually chipboard. So this was something I was experimenting with, is like putting my chipboard in a binder. It worked okay. I obviously haven't done it for all my chipboard because I don't think this was the method for me, but I just kept this one as is. These are like scrapbook borders. So different little borders. This is vellum and handmade paper or like textured paper. So just fun specialty paper. Right next to it is tissue papers. And then I have, these are mixed papers. So these are papers that like, just, I had a little bit of, you know, but not enough to make into its own thing. So I just combined them together. And then we have the lined and blank paper. This is mostly used for like signature making for journals. That's kind of what I like to use it for. And then we have my bags and pockets. So literally any sort of like I have popcorn bags, you know, brown paper bags, all kinds of stuff. So that's that, which they make great pockets. That's why I have them. This corner is a little dark, but this is my bathroom. My husband and I have our own bathrooms, so I use this bathroom to actually get ready in the morning. So that's why my jewelry is hanging. My bracelets anyways. Okay, and then we're going to go back this way. So I have my postcards here and my piano rolls. I have wrapping paper, and these are wrapping paper like booklets. And then I have letterhead. This is cardstock and like kind of a little various paper too as well, but mostly cardstock. We have wallpaper, which honestly, this is kind of outgrowing. It's spot, but that's fine. And then these two, this one needs some work. So this is embellishments, but it's mostly stickers. And then this one is stickers, and you can see I've tried to organize it, but I'm kind of, I think I'm kind of growing out of it. So this will probably be redone at some point. I keep this little cart here with my stamps on it, and it's movable. So that way, if I want to work with my stamps, I can just bring it, I lost my shoe there. I can just bring it to my craft area and then put it away when I'm done. So that's kind of nice. So I'll just move that for now. Okay. And then right here, I have more cardstock, but then I have 12 by 12 paper. This is like paper packs. I have, these are papers that are like the normal standard paper size, if I can show you. It's like this. See, it's just like a normal, I guess, type of size. Standard copy size. There you go. So that's kind of that paper. And then I have this whole thing, which is 12 by 12 paper. So 12 by 12 paper pretty much all on this row. Now moving to the bottom, I have journal cards in this one. And then I have 6 by 6 paper underneath. This is also 6 by 6 paper, but there's also 8 by 8 paper in here too. And then I have 2 different types of envelopes. So I have business envelopes, and then this is actually my spooky bin. So this is actually my spooky bin. And that's just anything that's Halloween related. So I can just grab that when I want to make a Halloween journal or a spooky journal, which I kind of think that is like, that's a neat little spot. I've never had my like spooky stuff separated, so I was actually kind of excited to make that. And then right here I have cards. I love using cards, like the fronts of cards or the images on cards in a journal. There's some really, really pretty ones, and usually you can get them for not super expensive. So, you know, just be on the lookout for some cool cards. And then I also have I have business envelopes, and then I have greeting card envelopes, which are a little more decorative. I just kind of made that distinction because I didn't have enough room, I guess, for both in one. So that's why I did that. And then the next one here I have, so this one just has a little bit of random. I have tickets at the top. So those are like match booklets. I have air dry clay. Then I have like napkins and straws, which napkins you can use for like decoupage. Straws you can use to make like fun little like party type pics to go with your journal. I have my wax seal stuff in here, and then molds as well for the air dry clay. And then this is just like miscellaneous craft items. A lot of it's like, I'll show you. There's just some interesting things in here. Like I have shells in here. I have just some random little wooden pieces, some weird Santa faces, you know, just normal miscellaneous craft stuff. And then going to this one right here, this is just like miscellaneous paper. So this is like weird little imagery things that I wanted to keep. So I have that. This is notepad papers, which I use for signatures. Just kind of, you know, different lined papers, if you will. Like there's plain ones. I have like vintage looking ones. I have decorative ones. So kind of like stationery, I guess. And then I have books and albums. So this is like different albums I can use to start a journal in or make something out of. And then these are fun like mixed media books in here. Usually my books are on my bookshelf, but slowly running out of room. So we've converted some space here. This is all of my vintage magazines. This thing goes pretty deep back here. But I have a lot of really cool, like, Good Housekeeping, XYZ magazines. I don't know, that's the only one that came to mind, but vintage magazines. And then I also have sheet music. So that's my vintage sheet music that I use a lot for different crafting. And then really quickly, here's my cat. Do you want to say hi? Huh? It's so funny. When I have the camera on her, she's just like, no. Mamas, do you want to say hi? No? Okay. This is her favorite toy as well. I feel like I should mention that. All right, so here is my bathroom. We're on to the next part here. We're almost there. So this is my bookshelf. I have these gorgeous twinkling lights. They're probably one of my favorite things in my room. Which they look like they're just kind of fuzzy, but they twinkle, I have some little stuffed animals up there. I call those the couples because they are all grouped together. We have the 2 gingerbreads, we have the 2 holiday bears, and then we have these 2 bears. So they're all couples. And then this is all my books. So I have a lot of, different vintage books. I won't go through them immensely, but just kind of going slowly here. Here's the treasure bookmaking book by Treasure Books. One of my favorites. And then at the very bottom, I have some like super old books. And I also have some printer paper down there. So that's that. Moving on. I have quite a ladybug collection, so there's some of that. Some cute little animals. This one definitely reminds me of my cat. And then I have my printer, which I use for like printables, mailing things, that kind of thing. And then I have this fun little thing. So this one has a lot of different stuff. We have my photography stuff. So photos, slides, negatives, that kind of thing. Here's the rest of my wood and chipboard items. There's a lot of different fun little things in here. I have tags. This is where I keep all my tags. I have a ton of tags. I have all my stencils down here. All my doilies in here. And I really find that like labeling everything helps so you know what you have. And then the last 2 are printer supplies. And this is the next one here. Also, just side note, this is a Smashing Pumpkins poster, one of my all-time favorite bands. So I had to hang that up, obviously. So I have pom-poms and pipe cleaners. This is glitter and sequins. These are like different Whatnot things that I use from products on Whatnot. This is like appliques and kind of miscellaneous fabric-y type things. Little bees, I don't know, just random stuff. And then I have my trims. So I have warm trims. This is elastic and twine. I have my cool trims. And then these are like yarn and fibers. So more yarn type stuff. And then right here, I have my neutral trims, which is overflowing. So now we have an extra trims bin. And then this is my jelly plate stuff. So I have all my jelly plating stuff in here. We have some cool stamps for those. And then I also have mediums in here. So different pastes and stuff that you can use and mix with paint to get really cool textures and stuff. And then this one is my mom's favorite drawer. This is my paper flowers drawer. So there's just nothing but paper flowers for days. I have a problem, I know. And then this one is metal and game pieces. So I have like fun little metal things. There's some Tim Holtz. I have, those are like book plates. There's keys back there. I have like house numbers. I don't know. You never know. And then this is like game pieces. So we have some Pogs. I have, those are Scrabble tiles, dominoes. We got bingo stuff, some old dominoes, just all sorts of little game pieces. So that's that one. That one's kind of a heavy drawer. And then this one is eyelets and brads. So all sorts of different eyelets. I have this giant thing. We have some like decorative brads. This is more brads. I like this container. It's an old pineapple container, which is really cool. So That's one of my favorite tins. I don't know. I've just kept this for a long time. I feel like I should have mentioned it. And then up here, I try and keep this space clean. This is sometimes a dumping ground for things until I figure out where they go. One thing I want to point out, another cool lamp. So this lamp is actually made out of aluminum cups, which is super neat. And then I got a really fun decorative, like circusy type bulb for it. I felt like that was fitting. And this actually used to light up. I need to put new batteries in it, but it is a Heather's light, VHS light. Super cool. I have some old stuff. Like this is an old remote. It doesn't have batteries in it. I just like it. I like stuff like this. I don't know. Am I alone on this? These do light up. They're just little votives. If I'm feeling, you know, in the mood for them, I guess. I don't know. I have this. This is like an old travel clock. Very neat. And then this is very cool. So this is actually a phone from World War II. This was a pretty penny, but I really like it. So there's that. And then these people, I really don't know who these are, but I love the photo. Look at how happy they look. So whoever you are, if you see this video, I have you on display. You're inspiring. And then this is cute. This is a little gargoyle. So he just sits up there too. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right. So this is one of my favorite spots in my room because of this shelf right here, which we'll get to. And also I love these lights. They kind of look like hot air balloons. But at the top here, I have all of my holiday stuff. So that's going to be all of my like Christmas stuff that I use for like Christmas type journals. I just keep them in one spot because you use it like once a year. So this is extra electronic stuff or like filming stuff. And then this is actually projects to try, like things I've been inspired by and I want to kind of replicate or learn how to do them. And that just stays up there. Okay, now the next part, this is like my mostly cat collection. And you'll notice mostly because there are some non-cat things in here. I love wizards. There's a little wizard right there. Obviously, I have a thing for cats. This is one of my favorites. He's very like worn down, but he's reading a little book and I love it. And he has his own little chair. I also really like this guy. He's just a funky dog. And I do have dog stuff in here too. I collect these. These are the Amy Lacombe cats. And I have probably like 4 or 5 of those hanging around. This is actually an Edward Scissorhands figurine. One of my favorite movies. This is so cool. They finally like get to be shown off. I have these like fun little Halloween birds right here. And I have a couple kiwi birds, which is fun. I said mostly cats, not all cats. There's a few more of the Amy Lacombe cats. This guy, does anyone know what movie he's from? Let me know in the comments. I'll let you know if you're right. It's the yellow guy. And then this is a slide viewer right here. And then along the way somewhere, I started collecting, I guess, porcelain unicorns. So now I have a family of unicorns. And I have this kind of cool dragon right here. Maybe he watches over them. I don't know. So yes, this is my mostly cat collection. You know, there's some other stuff in there too, but there's that. And then down here I have, so this is my sheet protectors. These are for button scoops, which is mostly empty. I'm trying to get this down to just one bin, but then I have my buttons. These are buttons that I don't want to get rid of, so I keep those there. Maps and pamphlets, I have that. And then stamps. I have so many stamps. So postage stamps. Game cards. So this is like all game cards. Some are vintage, some are not. Obviously that's overflowing to the top here, so I have to do something about that. And then sewing patterns are on the bottom. And then these 2 bins, as well as the top, are ephemera. So I have a bunch of just vintage things in here to use when I'm making my journals. I mean, there's some cool stuff in here. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So, bless you. And then the same thing for this other one. Yeah, these are like overflowing. They need a little help. I have these things are cool. I have a few of those. Okay. And then let's go to the bottom here. All right, so we're on the bottom tier here. This is kind of like, I had to make a spot for things that I've already made or started working on because that was just bothering me to not have a space for that. So I have unfinished journals or like journal covers, things that, you know, I need to put signatures inside. I feel like that's probably the worst part for me in building a journal is actually doing the signature part, just because it's more like technical and not as fun. You know, decorating is obviously the best part, so I might be biased, but this one is journals and folios. So those are different journals either I have made or I have collected, or like little folios I've made. So like, for example, here, I'll pull this one out. This one's not quite a journal. It's a folio. I didn't make this one, but it's one I bought from someone on Whatnot. But stuff like this. So it doesn't have to be a full journal. And now I can't, there we go. Okay, sorry. Right here, this is my ready to go ephemera. So these are things that I have already made, which I can give you a little example. So I made these, like that one's actually one of my favorites because I think he's holding a Pyrenees, which is my dog. You know, I did like an I Love Lucy collection for a show on Whatnot. That was one of those that I made. These were fun to make. It's a little Tim Holtz doll, but it's an altered paper clip and it's actually a pen holder, so you can hold your pen right there. And I made these cool like wooden tags. Okay, well these are stuck together, but let me just show you. She would drift away, dream with the stars, and everything that is colored beautiful, I see you. And these are actually little quotes that I used from the poetry books that I showed y'all earlier. So those are those in action. Here's another little fun thing. It's just like a collage type thing. You know, I've made some fun little tags and journal cards. This is a circus themed journal card. I stamped the back. But look, that's a piece of jewelry. So it looks like she's kind of resting on it, but it has this fun little 3D element. And then I've done like stuff like this. So this is like just some painty paper. And then I added some cute little quotes, and this was a printable. I also have tags that I've made. So I made like this fun little tag with the trim on it, and it's made from an alteration tag. A lot of Halloween in here, which I don't know if I should move to the Halloween bin because they're already made. But I have like fun little, you know, that's a fun little tag. So yes, just some examples of things that I have made. I will say my tag part is kind of overflowing. Okay, there we go. So I keep those in there. This is stuff that I can grab for to decorate a journal that's already been made. So that's what that's for. These are things to be finished ephemera. So for example, I have like these cute little things that I wanted to turn into like a mini journal. And see, this one's cute. It's kind of plain. It doesn't have a lot of paper in it. So I would love to like put more inside of it and decorate it a little more. So just things that need a few extra touches. Like I have this fun little thing. This is made from a wallpaper sample. And it's this on the inside, but it needs a few like pages to be tucked into a journal. Like it's just not ready. That's what that is. And then down here, this is gonna be my different like folders, like not cardstock, but you know, I have these are like journal covers that haven't been decorated. They're old book covers. I have chipboard, like this type of stuff that you can use for like making master boards. This one was a new addition. I thought this would make a fun like 60s, 70s journal. So just stuff like that. Good bases. This is like a good base bin, I guess. I have some game boards, which I want to eventually turn into journal covers as well. And then this right here is just my hoard of journals. I love journals so much. I used to be like a journal planner person, and I don't really gravitate towards buying a planner every 6 months anymore, which I'm thankful for, but I do still love a good journal. So I keep my journals here. Okay, let's move to this, and I'm actually going to go bottom to top since I'm already down here. All right, so this is a lawyer's chest. It's like a lawyer document chest. I actually got this from my mother-in-law. It's very old, and it's one of my favorite pieces in my room. This is like my bead, charm, tassel, whatever section. So I'll show you what's in these real quick. So this has all my findings. So I have everything from like clamps to jump rings to, you know, pieces to make jewelry. Sometimes I'll make myself like a pair of earrings or something, or, you know, I'll make a necklace for a friend. So I have stuff like that. Like I have some clasps in here. Just all your findings, like your jewelry findings is what this one is. And then the second one is one of my favorite bins. So this is my unconventional jewelry supplies. This is kind of like the I Spy bin, if you will. There's just a bunch of like fun little random things in here. I have, these are like old soda bottle caps. You know, I have like these weird little things. They're like flowers. Some fun little brass things. We have buckles in here. I have like some doll heads. These are also doll parts, little legs. Just fun little weird things that you can use to make like junk jewelry, which I really like. Oh, see, that one's done. That's okay. But you know, I have like, this is, I think like a little cookie mold or something. I have a little car that's kind of broken. An egg that's an earring. Just weird random stuff. So that's what this drawer is. It's kind of like a junk drawer, but this is honestly like one of my favorite drawers. So, okay. All right. The next one I have is going to be, large bead charm things. So I have like some fish in here. I have these like little watermelon type things, just fun little large charms. And then this is my seed beads, so all my tiny beads I have in here. And then this one, pretty empty. I just have these are like bells, but they're huge. And then these two have different little storage type things, so I use these for organizing sometimes. So I have those in here. And then I have my bags of different sizes, like jewelry bags and stuff in here. So that's that. And then moving up here, so this is gonna be my chain and wire bins. So like chain, and there's all sorts of wire. This one up here is going to be, I have like charms. That's just extra charms. I have, these are chandelier crystals. And then I have like single earrings and then some more like kind of blingy stuff in there. And then right here, so this is my beads primarily. I have kind of started outgrowing this though. So I have, these are charms. Let me show you. So we have all sorts of charms in here. In hindsight, I don't think I would have poured all my charms just randomly in here. I think I would have liked to have separated it by size, but that's okay. It's too late now. This next one is going to be my neutral beads. So really just anything that's, you know, neutral. Browns, blacks, whites. You know, I have like kind of iridescent, I guess. So just that kind of stuff. This one is going to be my cool beads. So blues and greens, purples. So that's what that one is. And then my red, this one actually kind of broke a little bit, so I keep this one slightly open. But this is going to be my warm beads. So reds, yellows, pinks, oranges, all that great stuff. All the warm beads. Making sure I can still pull it out. And then up here, so I'll start on this side. I have ceramic charms. I got like a giant bag of these thrifting one day. And so they require their own drawer, but they're so cool. I couldn't get rid of them. They're like stamped. So I got those. This is flat pieces. So things that are flat. Sometimes I'll cut off like single earrings or something and they'll go in here. Like this one was an earring. Now it's not. But just stuff that you could glue on top of like a journal cover. This is extra beads. I'm just running out of room for my other beads. This is my bead overflow. And then moving up here, I have my crystal beads. So these are things that are like really sparkly. I have those in there. I have extra charms in here, so more charms. This guy I made. He's pretty cute. But I have all sorts of just different little fun charms in here. And then this is going to be patinas. So these are things to patina like metal. But also like little clear coats. So these are like lacquers that you can put on top of a bezel when you put a picture in it, and this kind of seals it. So I have some of those too. Up here, this holds kind of like some of my coiling, like wire, forget what this is called, but when you coil the wire, it's just like jewelry tools pretty much. We have needle threaders for jewelry. And then I use these for like if I want to grab, you know, a little bit of a certain type of color bead, I'll just grab a little scoop and take this over to my desk with it in it. And then I also have little project trays over here. So I have these like cute little tiny trays back here for that. And then my jewelry tools I use all the time. I have my little bin of paper beads. This is all paper beads. This one actually doesn't have anything in it yet, but it's such a cool tin. So it will just live there till I put something in it. And then up here, I've kind of started separating my stuff a little bit. Like, so for my findings, I do want to put all of the like eye pens, I think that's what these are called, in one, because I use those a lot to make charms and stuff. I also have it's kind of stuck. I also have a drawer of different like quartz points. So I have green ones back there, I have gold, and then I have these like smoky ones. This is going to be pearl beads. So just all sorts of different pearl beads. And then this is connector. These are more findings. So these are more like connector beads, which are going to be, let me try and show you here. Okay. Maybe I can just pull out one of these. So just like little connector beads. These are just like in between beads for when you're making jewelry. And then I have a few like loose findings back there. This is going to be vials. So these are vials, which I wanted to turn into like this fun little ceramic jewelry piece. Maybe one day. And then I have bottle cap charms. So these, you could put a picture in, and then that lacquer I was talking about, this stuff, you could put on top of the picture, and it seals it, and it also gives it like a glossy finish. So that's what I meant by that. So I have that. And then I have my plastic beads, which are like the craft beads. Still fun. They're just plastic. And then right here, I have my metallic beads, bead sets. So that's like, you know, if it came on a string, it's kind of in there, which that's a newer thing I started doing. And then I have my holiday charms, just keeping those separate since I use them about once a year. And then these are actually letter beads. So I have A through N plus some word beads, and then I have O through Z and some plastic beads. So those are all separated. Each little square is a different letter. But yeah, that's it. I'll give you one last look here. I didn't realize I was going to go into so much detail. But this is my room. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you inspiration to rethink and imagine your craft space. If you like this video, please give it a like so I know that you liked it. And be sure to follow me so you know when my next video comes out. But with that, I will leave you guys to it. Thank you so much. And remember to always stay crafty. Bye.